When I was a kid, we didn't have AI, we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have TikTok, and Googling really wasn't that big of a thing. I'm referring to 2004, a period of my life which probably was one of the toughest times I'd ever experienced. I was 14. I had this horrible fear of dying and that everything was gonna kill me at any moment. All kinds of stuff, cancer, getting something stuck in my throat, having a heart attack, having a heart stop, thinking my heart into stopping, all kinds of shit, just constantly struggling and everything. Now the reason why it's important what I had mentioned in the beginning, not having YouTube, not having TikTok, Googling wasn't a real big thing, or at least not as I remember it, and no AI or anything, is I desperately needed someone to tell me I'm okay. And we didn't have that back then. Like nowadays, you can just find a YouTube video. You can just search for it. I'm struggling with anxiety, and you get 50 million recommendations for people talking in front of the camera about their experiences. You can talk to an AI and it will reassure you as if it was a shrink. And it's all the internet was built for this stuff. Man, how awesome it would have been to have those problems now instead of then. But the crazy thing is, like, I got through it almost all on my own. And it's the whole reason why I became so close with my grandfather. Because he was one of the few people who understood me back then and wanted to listen to me and hear about my struggles and could tell me that he himself had had a period of his life where he also thought all of the time about dying. Now, he was an old man in his 80s back then. He lived a very long time. He lived up until his 90s. So I still had many years with him left. And we were just like best buddies because of that thing, because of that shared experience. And I wouldn't have had that neither, in a way. Or at least it wouldn't be as impactful if I went through it with today's technology. So there are upsides and downsides. I'm not saying that everything was better before, not at all. I'm thankful that my kid gets to grow up in a world where help is so widely available for all kinds of things. Any type of struggle she might go through, she can just go online and search for who else is going through the same thing, or talk to an AI or whatever. Like, there's readily available solutions that weren't there when I was a kid. And I'm kind of thinking, like, how the hell did we manage, man? Like, how did we even get by? Why even have cell phones back then? I remember when my dad bought me my first cell phone when I was 11 years old. He was so shocked that I was gonna have a cell phone. Like, what the hell are you supposed to do with a cell phone? And back then, the cell phones weren't what they are now. They were actually smart, believe it or not, but they couldn't do anything. They had these green and black displays. We spent all day fiddling with getting the right home screen and playing Snake. I can't even think of how many times I've played Snake. I don't think we had anything else. Yeah, and ringtones. That was the thing. You would buy a magazine, and on the back of that magazine, there would be different ringtones you could buy for your phone by typing in a phone number. And then we had these kind of payment cards for telephones, because everything was on a land wire back then. So you would like pay for the amount of seconds you were on a call, and you would pay this and that amount for sending a text message to someone. So everything revolved around this type of currency. And we would get these phone cards from our parents where you get like 150 kroners cell phone use, which, I don't know, it's like $15 or something. And these ringtones were pretty expensive, and we would just buy those ringtones. Like, that was the whole thing. And we would spend all that money in one day texting girl. And I don't know about other guys, but I was really brave when talking to girls back then. Like, sure, it hurt me when they weren't interested, but I would just straight up flirt with them, no problem, in a way that's inconceivable to me now. People that I knew from school, I would just hit them up on the MSN Messenger when I came home. So we had to boot up a desktop PC with a huge fucking CRT monitor next to it, that was the thing displaying the screen, by the way, and go into Windows with that good old Windows P sound and talk to people. And I would message girls I went to school with, flirting with them without any problem at all. And many of them weren't interested, but that's kind of how I met every single girlfriend I had back then, and I had several. Not at the same time, I wasn't that type of a Casanova. I wouldn't dare do anything like that nowadays. Now, was that just me being a teenager, or was it a product of the times? And I would have my own telephone wired to the wall in my own bedroom, where my mother would call me to tell me it's dinner. It's so fucking weird. So I understand why my dad was like, why the hell do you need a cell phone? Like, what are you supposed to do with a cell phone? And my only argument was, well, everyone else is getting one. And we talked about it, like one day these cell phones would be so powerful that it's almost like having a computer with you everywhere. But it's kind of like you talk about some distant future that's never gonna happen, like flying cars and robots or whatever. But that shit actually happened not too long after. I mean, Steve Jobs released the iPhone to the world. Like, what was it, 4 after? No, excuse me, when I got my first phone was in 2001, so 7 years after Steve Jobs revealed the iPhone to the world. And then we all started walking around with computers in our pockets, essentially. And that changed everything. I've heard that people born after 2010 were the most depressed generation since World War II or something. Constantly comparing each other to each other. I guess that's kind of what it is. And back to the thing I talked about, flirting with girls. I don't know if a 14-year-old version of me in 2020 would have dared to be that way. Not saying he wouldn't, but I'm saying I'm not sure. And maybe I wouldn't have struggled as badly with anxiety, given how I Google everything now and find stuff on YouTube. And I mean, I work as a teacher, so I know my students do the same thing. They find all kinds of stuff on YouTube and TikTok and whatever. I most certainly wouldn't go as much to the school nurse as I did when I was struggling. I probably would have just talked to ChatGPT. And how is that gonna form the brains of the future? I'm not one of the people who thinks the world is getting worse. I'm the completed. I think the world is getting better, for the most part. And then there are aspects where it's getting worse. I think there's a lot of good to be said about technology, but I do miss the patience I had as a kid. To just sit around and watch a movie. That's hard to do in this day and age. Like all this short form content that's got me so into my brain that sitting still for too long and just watching a regular movie is for some reason hard. Now that's what I would do all the time when I was a kid, just watch movies all day long. Watch the same movie over and over again. How was it for you to be a kid?